Hi, everybody. I'm Sue Pepper, and I am one of the coaches at Time for a 10. We are a coaching platform that can be found at timefor10.com. And this morning, we have a whole group of people, and I'd love to go around and let everybody introduce themselves.
Hi, everybody. My name is Brenda, and I'm one of the co-founders of this Time for a 10 platform. I'm glad to be here.
I'm Charlie Collins, and I am co-founder of Thriving Blind Academy and founder of the Blindsighted podcast. And I'm also very happy to be with you all.
And I'm JoJo. I am also a co-founder of Time for a 10 and so grateful to be a part of this wonderful group of people. And I'm looking forward to this.
Hi, I'm Leanda. I'm one of the coaches at Time for 10. I'm excited to be here today.
Hi, I'm Linda, and I'm one of the coaches at Time for 10, and I am a coach myself, and I'm so glad to be here too with this wonderful group of people.
All right. Good morning, everybody. So this morning, we're going to be talking about the answer is not out there. My experience with this is that all too often, people go looking for the solution out there, and it shows up in all different forms. For me, I'll give my experience. I was always looking for that person that was going to be able to show up for me, like the mommy that I always wanted, somebody that would, tell me that I've done a great job or pick me up when I've fallen down and, tell me that I'm great and never get their ego involved, always be able to be there for me. Beautiful idea, wonderful idea. Problem is that when I went out looking for those people, what I found was real people, real humans. And a lot of times real humans don't show up for somebody else like that because they have their own stuff. So I had to come to the realization that I wasn't going to find that out there. But it didn't stop me from looking at it and looking for it in all kinds of different ways. So this morning, we're going to talk about what are the different ways that people go out there looking for the answers out there.
What a great intro, Sue. And I can identify, for most of my life, until I did the kind of work that we're going to be talking about on this podcast, my self-esteem, my worthiness was defined by what other people thought of me. I would look for that validation at work, in my friendships, in my romantic relationships. And it never worked. It's a hole that just can't be filled when I was looking to fill it from the outside. It just was never enough.
Yes, hi, it's Charlie, and I I can relate. I spent a lot of time trying to fill the hole with something outside of me, whether it was boats or houses or just validation that, I wanted to show up because I had a perception, I had formed a reality of my life that I wasn't enough. I just didn't fit in. I couldn't see. I had an eye disease. I felt different. I never kind of felt like I jived. So I had to perform well. So I looked outside of me all my life, trying to fill that gaping hole inside of me. And temporarily, some of that stuff helped, but it wasn't a sustaining solution until I started coming to doing the work.
Wow, this is just great to hear. It's so wonderful to be with this group and sharing where we're coming from. Same. I was raised in a household that was pretty difficult. There were a lot of rules, a lot of control things, and you just always wanted to try to please, and there was nothing that I could do that gave me the kind of warmth and feeling that I belonged. There was no hugs or I love yous or any of that. And I started seeking through inappropriate behaviors, things that would help to bring me what I was looking for inside, though you don't know it at the time. Like, I just think I was pretty uncomfortable. And it wasn't until I did this kind of work that really taught me that there's something better out there, and it's not what I thought it was supposed to be.
Wow, I can relate to each of you. For myself, I can, I remember as a little girl, you hear these fairy tales about your knight in shining armor, and you're programmed from the beginning to go looking somewhere else for your happiness. And it's the unlearning that you have to do to get back to all the answers, actually.
Yeah, I mean, everybody, I take a little bit of everybody that, everything that everybody said. For me, when I was growing up, feelings, how do you feel? If you said that you feel bad, well, here, eat something from my homework. Everything was about food. So food was love, and feelings didn't count. And because, my parents didn't have that either. And even though I can understand that, it still hurt. It still helped make me who I am today, which is not who I really am. I had to put on a mask of doing and not being. So if I do things, my parents will love me and everyone will, because I cared so much about what people thought about me. I'm trying not to do that today. It's a long road, but it's so worth it. Thank you.
Oh, I love that. Yeah. Something that somebody said, I think Joanne said something about the behaviors that we do. I think that was a big thing for me, is recognizing that I wanted other people to show up for me in a certain way. I wanted it to fill that big hole inside of me. And so I learned a lot of not so healthy behaviors as ways to try and get that hole filled. And, Linda, you just mentioned one of them, food. For me, absolutely anything that could fill, give me that feeling of, oh, and just, calm down. I'm okay for just this minute. But man, I would fill that hole with all kinds of stuff. I would fill it with relationships. I would fill it with, escapism. Let's just, shut off life and go and do nothing but watch TV. I would fill it with just fantasy, living in this world that was not my reality. If I sit here and think about, ooh, what would life be like if, but if I spend all my time there, then I'm totally missing out on how my life is.
You bring up a great point. That's a great point. And when we live this way, like going to the outside to be okay on the inside, we're not in the present moment, because there's always that search going on to fill that hole. It's Charlie and I have talked before about, I'll be happy when I get straight A's. I'll be happy when I have the house. I'll be happy when I have that perfect boyfriend, and that's the seeking from the outside to be okay on the inside. And the more I seek, the more I want to seek. Like, there's just no connection there with the seeking. And, we'll talk about the solution as we move forward, but everyone's talking about all the ways that we seek to be okay on the inside, and that it just doesn't work.
And that is I believe the problem was out there, and the solution was out there to the problem. Very conflicting world I lived in. It sucked, and then it was good. And I couldn't seem to grasp a hold of anything, because I certainly wasn't taking responsibility for my suffering, my low self-esteem. I was blaming, complaining, rationalizing, justifying, defending my suffering and my position. So let me go eat more, buy more, and lie more. And somehow you will love me or like me, because I hate me.
Wow, this is great. A couple of things that were said. Linda started by saying, just feed me, give me food, and that will make me happy. And then Charlie was talking about, that the answer's out there, the solution is too. And what I've learned is, I wasn't getting what I thought I wanted. I just wanted somebody to love me. I just wanted somebody to feel like, to help me to just feel better about myself. My parents, when things, were difficult, or I got upset about something, their reaction was always, stop feeling that way. So I was cut off from being allowed to feel. You weren't allowed to have emotions in my house. I don't know if that's old school or what, but it really blocked me, going forward and learning what I've learned to, it's okay to have feelings. It's okay to feel this way. But back then it just felt like there was something wrong with me because I was so upset about so many things. And it wasn't until I, did this kind of work that, oh my God, but it was a lot of work to do, to, and practicing, what I learned, like what Charlie was saying, as far as the problems out there, a lot of it I learned is the problem was me. The problem was inside of me. And I needed to fix the inside of me. The outside world was going to stay the way it was. I couldn't change anything. I have no control over what goes on in the outside world. Terrible things can happen. People can die, people can leave, but it's learning how to be okay with that without, throwing your life down the toilet.
Absolutely. For me, I had a lot of coping mechanisms also. I didn't realize how bad my sugar addiction was until I consciously made a change. And that was one of the hardest things that I had to break, actually, harder than a lot of other things. And, the other point that you guys mentioned about looking on the outside is that victim mentality that I suffered from, where everything was everyone else's fault. Like, you did this to me and this person did this to me. And you get lost in that, and you'll never find the answers if you're looking on the outside. For me, I've been called too sensitive all my life. So I hardened up and I put on this facade that wasn't myself. And I had to break away all of that, like I said before, the unlearning, just undoing your entire life when you get to that point where enough is enough.
Yeah, so Land, I really, really relate to the victim, the victim thing. I just want to say one thing is when I was growing up, it was so bad in my house that one day I was watching TV and I saw this father reading to their little girl, and so gently and so caringly, and I got really mad and I started screaming, there aren't fathers like that. Don't even tell me there's father. That's not real. That's totally not real. And I was so angry because I didn't get that. And there was a lot of trauma in my family. And what happened to me is I was so confused because, when people and friends came over, they were huggy and kissy. And yes, my kids are great. I love them. And when the people left and went home, chaos. There was just chaos. So I grew up as this very confused human being, child and then adult. And I just want to say that for me, it wasn't just food, it was other substances that I got into because I want the yearning for somebody to see me as I really am. And that includes me, is so strong. So when I did go inside, I realized that it was really an inside job, that I needed to learn how to love me. And that's been an ongoing process for a very long time. The love isn't out there. The love is inside. I can't really love unless I start to learn how to love me.
Wow. Yeah, powerful there. We talk about that, trying to, there's a lot of us get it in childhood. A lot of us get it, when, we didn't get our needs met as children, and that was my experience too. And the thing is that my parents were not bad parents. They didn't get it from their parents. So it's this thing that just gets passed down. And you end up feeling, because of that, with this sort of gaping hole in your heart, and it's this bottomless pit. And there's no amount of stuff that will ever fill it. And so many people go to things that's where addiction comes from. You try and fill it with drugs or alcohol, but there are so many things that we try and fill it with. It's not just the extremes of an addictive substance. I mean, it can be just what we were talking about, just the relationships and other people. I'm still trying to fill that bottomless pit. And I love that we start learning at some point, that, wait a minute, this isn't working, and I'm always amazed at people that get this on their own. I at 40 had to have somebody sit me down and help me go through this. But I believe there are people that can figure it out on their own, more power to them. But I needed someone to show me how to do that rethinking, that undoing of all of my old habits of trying to fill everything from the outside. I didn't know how to go inside. I had not the first clue how to start, how to fill that gaping hole with anything other than what I'd been doing.
Yeah, that's great. I love what's been said so far. And I really resonate with the unlearning. A couple of things happened for me as a result of defining myself by everything on the outside. And one was the minute that somebody I was relying on for my self-esteem did something that caused me harm, like all of that confidence went away. Like suddenly what I was defining myself by was no longer there. And I didn't have anything else to hang on to. And I started to, when I'm in recovery, when I came into recovery and I got accountability buddies, right? I had a group of people now that were going to show me a different way to look at myself. And because they gave me a different way to look at myself, I had a different way to look at the world. And I started to find some love within myself for myself. It took a lot of practice and it took a lot of inviting God in for me. And as I started to practice that, now what I'm looking for is different. I'm not looking for what I was looking for before. It's not done out of need anymore. It's done out of a willingness to share. A willingness to share myself with somebody else and receive what they have to offer. It's a mutual exchange of love. And that's the difference today. And the more of that I do, the more of myself I find. It works in tandem so beautifully.
Yeah, my experience too is God is patient, but he is always on time. And I was at the jumping off point, this bed that I had lied in for years and cried myself to sleep and begged to this power to take me. I don't get it. This game of life, it's too hard. I can't do this anymore. But, I always had that little, there must be a better way. And finally surrender came. And I don't mean apologizing. I mean this deep breath of surrender where I don't get it. I don't know. And I need guidance. And that's where people like you started just showing up. How does the universe do this? How do I know how to take my next breath with peace and ease? I mean, this didn't happen like you said, Sue. I didn't wake up and go, new shirt, new thoughts, new actions. I feel wonderful. Absolutely not. I had to break down the problem, which was me, my thinking. And it was okay. I owned that. And I thought, and then you people told me there's a better way. Let us help you. Let us guide you. Let us teach you some new ways to think, how to behave, and how to pause. And then, of course, I am going to start feeling better. And this is why we all hang together, this community, the Time for a 10, helping people see that there is a way out. And it is already a part of who you are. And we're going to help you uncover it.
Love that.
Wow, so much good stuff. Just starting with what Sue said about the parent, our parents were not bad parents, but I thought they were bad parents. I was such a victim. I needed to let people know that I was a victim because that would give me more attention. I just wanted to be loved, and maybe that was the way to do that. And I played that role for pretty much most of my adult life. I was just trying to fill in a bottomless pit by doing, things that would help me to get positive attention, whether it was not appropriate behaviors or really good behaviors. I had this obsession. I wanted to change and fix and control people. And I love what you said, Charlie. God is patient, but always on time. I got involved with a group of people, that accountability buddies, as you would say, that really helped me to shine a light on me being the problem and how to turn my thinking around as far as, when it comes to my parents. They were doing the best they could. What was their role models? How did they grow up? And that was the most enlightening thing to learn. My father was a tyrant, but that's all he knew how to do, and I could ultimately forgive him. And, I really learned that I didn't want to feel the way I was feeling anymore. I wanted to learn a new way to live. And I know, and I learned that it wasn't people, places, or things. I had people die on me in the last number of years. My husband walked out on me in the last number of years. I really thought I was going to die. I without these people, things, possessions, I didn't think I can manage that. But I found a new way to live. And the experience has been absolutely amazing. I feel a new freedom, a new peace, a new happiness. I don't have to, sometimes the word handle has been stood out to me. Like, I've got to handle this. I've got to make it better. But the word handle to me means I got to do something about it. And basically, if I can just kind of pause and step back from the situation and look at it, there is nothing I have to do. It's not going to change anything, but it's going to help me to feel like I'm in control. And it's only going to, make me mad, make me upset. It just dives me deeper into fear, because a lot of my behaviors are fear-based behaviors. Because what if this happens? What if that happens? I'm not going to get that. They're not going to get to do this. But like what you said, Charlie, God is patient, but always on time. Things happen not in my time. And I'm okay with that today.
Absolutely. I can remember when I had got to a point in my career where I was like, wow, okay, I'm doing good. And, I felt like I had reached some level of success. And I sat back, and a thought creeped into my head. It was like, but are you happy? So what I had done in life was, because of all the things that I had experienced in my childhood, and because of all the pain and the seeking on the outside, what I figured out is, if I'm successful, if I look good on the outside, they'll appreciate me, they'll accept me. So I focused all my attention into achieving and doing good, and, climbing that ladder at work. And, when I finally got to a place where I was like, okay, this is it, this is what I've been working for, I realized that I wasn't happy. And I realized that, I didn't even love the person that I had become, because it wasn't authentic. So for me, that turnaround was starting to find love for myself, and, really figuring out who I was, because I had no idea. I had just put on this mask for the world to be accepted. And that break for me came, and it sounds easy, but it was so difficult, because it took illnesses and, breakups and pain and agony in between. But I think at some point a light switch just went off, and I started doing the work very slowly, very slowly, very slowly.
Wow. Again, it's such tough stuff. I did the opposite of Leandra, and I know a lot of you did, have succeeded in your different milieus. But what I did was I played the victim card really, really well. I didn't have to go to school, because after all, look what happened to me. I didn't have to do this. I didn't have to take my kids to school all the time because I was in bed with a headache, or I was having a memory of abuse, or I didn't have to do that because, well, if you grew up in my house with all of my crises and all of my pain, you wouldn't do it either. You wouldn't go to school. You wouldn't be, become famous. You wouldn't become the person that you were meant to be if you were me, because I didn't know who that was. And after all, look what happened to me. And I played that card for so long, even when I had kids, even with my husband. I can't go on ski trips with my kids, with you guys, because I'm not feeling good today. And my daughter would come up to me and say, Mom, do you feel good today? Because if you don't, we can't go. And that's how it was. I was brutal in that way. I thought about myself, and yes, I had lots and lots of pain, but I had kids too. I had responsibilities, and I left those responsibilities to my husband because I couldn't deal with it. I couldn't cope with it because, if you grew up in my house, you would have been that too. You would have taken real good care of your kids. And then, so after a long time of doing that and hating myself for doing that, I did try to take my own life. I did take a bottle of pills, and thank God I had the wherewithal to call my therapist, and she sent an ambulance. And I'm here today because of God's grace. It wasn't my time to go. And after that happened, I'd been to a couple different rehabs and different places that some of you have been to too. And I started saying, that's it, God, what do I do? I mean, I'm just waiting for a sign because I have no clue. I don't know what to do. And I have kids and I need to be here for them. And I did. I started doing the work, and it's the best thing I ever did. And I wouldn't be here if I didn't start doing that work and be with all these wonderful people. So we hope that you'll come and join us in this amazing journey.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, I so resonate with that. Trust me, at 40, I didn't decide all of a sudden, gee, I want to undo all of my old thinking and start thinking all new things because everything was great and wonderful. I had hit rock bottom. I had come to a place, I had just gone through cancer. And, I had that moment of, I didn't know if I was going to live or die. And so many people have a bucket list, oh, I'm gonna, climb a mountain or go skydiving. I had no bucket lists. I just wanted to like myself. And I didn't like myself because I had grown up just like my father. And I had turned, the way I dealt with people that were scary to me in some way is I screamed. I was a screamer. I thought, if I scream loud enough, then I can control the situation. Then I'll be saved. And all that did was bring screaming into my life, brought it into my relationships, brought it into my parenting. Oh my God, this is not the person I wanted to be. How but I was so stuck. I didn't know how to get out of that. It was definitely this rock bottom place of there's nothing left for me in the way I'm doing it now. I'm desperate enough to try something different, even if it's hard. And that for me was that moment where I was willing for the first time to hear what somebody else had to say. Because before that, I was screaming so much. I only wanted everyone to hear what I had to say.
It's wonderful. I've heard so many good things. And, very much like what was already shared, I came to that place where I was in enough pain to reach for God. Really, I was in enough pain to reach for God. And I reached for God through other people and finally became willing to let somebody help me unlearn. We talk a lot amongst ourselves, and we've talked a lot, Charlie and I, about how a conditioned mind can't fix a conditioned mind. Like my mind can't fix my mind. I can't do that on my own. Even when I'm reaching for God in the beginning, I can't do that on my own. God will give me the willingness to allow somebody else in to help me see things differently. And that's what we have all done for each other. We help each other see things differently. And it's an ongoing process of, in the beginning, there were blaring things like everything, like Linda was saying, I was in victim mode. I was the center of the universe. I was only thinking about myself. So why shouldn't everybody else just be thinking about me? And then slowly over a period of time, through a lot of humility and letting somebody else help me, letting you guys help me, letting this community help me, I get to a different place where I'm just one of many. I'm one of many. And it's so comforting to be in that place where I'm not the center of the universe, where I'm just one of many. And I don't wake up in the morning and say, oh, I'm one of many. I wake up in the morning thinking about myself. That's how I wake up every day. And I need to stay connected to you guys and stay connected to my support system to remind me that I'm one of many and that I am an expression of God. And in that lies I'm love and light. And in that lies my self-worth, in being an expression of the creator of all that is. And that's, I can't get to that on my own sometimes. I need all of you to help me get there. And that's why I love this group so much.
I could only imagine that it'll be 7 p.m. tonight. We'll still be going around. I guess, talk about the sunlight of the spirit. I can tell you, I'd be petrified, the old me, going, oh my God, Sue's almost done it. I hope she talks longer. And Brenda, oh my God, then I got to go next. I'd be freaking out. And then, of course, the old me would have, I got to go. I can't do this. I thought I could, I just... that guy, that mind has left for today in this moment. And that's all I have. And Sue, I was thinking my bucket list began with F. There was no such thing. I didn't care. There was nothing good for me out there. So, what a difference. What this type of energy, what we're doing, we're sharing our problem, our suffering, our struggle, our blaming, our victim mentality. We fell victim to the belief that it should be different. I should have a better life. I shouldn't be legally blind. Heck, I can't see you guys. I can't see my camera. I don't know what's going on. I just showed up because Brenda said show up. And look at that. The power is running this, and I feel completely content and at perfect peace and ease being with you guys. And that is because of the work. What is the work? Well, you can find out by clicking here.
So do we get to keep going around? I just want to comment on the name God was just mentioned. And, I don't know if that turns people off. It sure did me when it was first mentioned, because I was not raised in a very religious household at all. But, life was not working the way I wanted to work. And I needed to just let go. And I didn't know how to do that. And listening to people, listening to you guys, and hearing of your experiences, and it was just like, I want that so bad. I just want that new peace and ease inside of me. And it's like, why not? And so I started noticing when like weird things would happen, miraculous things would happen. It's like, how did that just happen? It's like I started witnessing what I'm seeing, and it was just like amazing. And you talk about the conditioned mind, sick. Back in the day, it was like the sick mind was talking to this sick mind and convincing it to do other sick things. There's, how do you ever grow away from that? And what I learned was there was something greater than me. I didn't believe in a God at the beginning. I just believed that something was greater than me, that I really have to let go of control. And what I love so much about this is that we don't give advice. We don't tell people what they should do. We just help people to look at things differently, to see it from a different angle, and just maybe even kind of pause and pray or ask for help in making that decision. Because sometimes I hear a little voice inside of me. I've got myself to the point that I know when, and I know this sounds bizarre, but I know when God is talking to me. because I hear that little voice inside my head. It's before I can even finish saying what I'm saying in my prayer and meditation that I've learned to cherish so big time as part of my day. But I hear that little voice, and a lot of times I just hear, "You'll know when you know." But there are some times when it'll be like, what would God have you be? What would God have you do? What is right for that? How are you helping other people? Sometimes it's just getting out of the situation and not allowing yourself to get sucked in, and maybe go help somebody else and change the subject. And then somehow whatever the pickle is gets solved. Things just work out the way that's life.
Yeah. What I'm realizing from listening to each of you is that we're all different, but we're all the same. And for most of my life, I felt so alone and just felt so different. And, we fall for the lie that we're alone. And, when we have so much support, we just have to look for it. We have to make the conscious decision to want different. I remember that voice in my head, that negative voice. I remember one day listening to it, but not listening to it, kind of observing it. And I was like, how long has this been going on? Like, it was just like, wait, where is this coming from? How long has this been going on? Because the things that I'm saying or thinking, they're not really true. And I wondered, like, has this been going on my whole life? And I just never realized that there's this negative voice in my, telling me all these negative things are happening when they're not true. Like, when you start releasing and letting go some of those stories and some of the victimhood then you can see the miracles. You can see what's really there, all of the support and the help. But when you're holding on to all that trauma and pain and anger, that's all that's there. That's all you can see.
Yeah. Oh my God. So much good stuff. So true. When I did get somewhat better, I did decide to go out and do something to just so I could, for my sense of self-worth, and I was feeling better. I was doing some things, and I decided and I met somebody, coincidentally or not, who showed me the way to become a teacher of coaches. So I joined a coaching school and decided to teach coaches how to be coaches. I think it's fun for me to teach. I like that. And one of the things was we were told we ask questions. We don't tell people what to do. And I found it's so good asking questions to people because we know our answers. We really do. We don't think we do. But if we decide we're going to find them, they just start rolling out like questions like I'll ask somebody, well, where do you think that came from? And they'll say an answer and they'll go, oh my God, I didn't know I knew that. Or, oh yeah, I've been thinking that all my life. I didn't know it connected to this. And keep asking questions and people will they're trying to get in touch with them. And to elicit them, we just listen, mostly listen and ask questions. And people will come out with, and it's so beautiful to watch. It's so exciting because it happened to me. And when I can find out my answers, it's such a wonderful feeling. And watching other people do it and come to their conclusions. And, people want to be heard. And they also want to know what's inside themselves. They want to hear themselves and they want to be heard by other people, both. And I think that's two of the greatest things that we can give people, our time to listen and them believing that we are there to help them. And one of the best things in my whole life, I'll end with, is going to a place where everybody's like-minded, where people are doing this work. People are feeling this way. They're doing these things because that's all I ever wanted in my life. Other people to be there for me, to love me, and for me to be there for them and love them.
Beautiful. I think this is a great place to wrap up. at timefororattend.com, and also Charlie's Blindsighted. And Charlie, real quick, if you can just say how to reach you.
Sure. Well, it's a podcast, and we're on every Saturday morning for the most part at 9:30 a.m. Or you could always go to the In Progress Charlie Collins Charlie Collins online website. So
wonderful. All right. The rest of us can all be found at timefororattend.com. We are coaches, and the real goal is a lot of what we were talking about today, you know, helping people to understand that they've been seeking something on the outside that can actually be found on the inside. And how do we go about doing that? You know, and we have lots of different ways forward for you, and would be happy to work with you. Anybody else want to say a finishing comment or throw out some information?
I just want to thank everybody for being on today. I mean, this is great for me. I mean, it's good to work with you guys. I get to work with you every week, so I'm really excited about that.
I agree. Thank you all. This was wonderful. Loved hearing what everyone had to say.
Thank you.
Bye, everybody.
bye.